synes bare, det giver nogle spørgsmål.
We have lots of microphones on. Maybe I should put it on the other side because my husband told me that because of all the microphones, it does something about the sound.
Yeah.
But there's one too. No, I will put it
Så skal han ind og skal sidde og op og ned til.
Ja.
Jeg har også lige I'm going to take a photo and I'll send it to you. But you haven't got your board to stand beside.
Oh, yes. I'll stand beside it later and get one.
I'll take one photo for you now.
Yes.
Smile. Get your shoes in. There we go.
Thank you. So, Katerina, after maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes, I'll call you and I'll give you a seat there.
We can if the sound gets poof, then we can just move it. We'll take that around the ears.
Okay. Will I hear if it's doing that? Okay.
Yeah. Should we close that door or is that open? So welcome back from lunch. I hope you are pretty full. Now we are getting ready for even more information from Cormac from Ireland, who met Tina last year in Ireland at the conference. He's here to educate us about
Addiction.
Addiction and understanding addiction. And even if we're here working with addiction, you can tell us why we should work with it.
Absolutely.
So welcome to Copenhagen.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here in Copenhagen. It's my first time and I'm really enjoying it. I hope you guys are all enjoying the conference. I would like to talk to you today a little bit about the work I do with addiction. I know that there are quite a few... Have we got sound issues, Justin?
Yeah.
Are we okay?
Turn on.
Cut.
Is it turned on?
Is it turned on? Is it turned on?
Is it turned on?
That's always a good question.
It's now turned on. Sound check.
Sound check. Aha. Luckily we had technical assistance. So take two. So it's nice to be here, and I want to talk to you a little bit about addiction, the kind of work I do. And for you as hypnotherapists, I know some people shy away from addiction work as hypnotherapists. So maybe at the end of the talk today, you will have a new view about what addiction is, who addicts are. Hopefully it will encourage you, if you're not working in addiction already, that it will encourage you to do so. I would also like to bring a practical element to it. So I will be showing you I'll be giving you some powerful reframes, things that you can take into your clinic Monday morning and start applying them straight away. You may want to take down notes during this. I can remind you at different times when it might be appropriate to do so. I am going to also talk to you about a number of different techniques that I use for working with addiction, and I am also going to do a demonstration. At the demonstration, I don't know if people at the back, feel free to kind of move up a little bit closer if you like. I am going to demonstrate the ICAAN method. It's a method that I created myself over about 15, 16 years working as a hypnotherapist in Dublin. And it's very powerful for helping people break free from addiction. It's also very powerful for helping people break free really from any kind of unwanted patterns. So when you think about what someone would come to you for, you as a hypnotherapist, generally it's an unwanted thought, feeling or behavior. And the way I work is I always look at what's the subconscious pattern that's driving that behavior. I don't necessarily look straight at the behavior itself. What's the underlying causes that's driving it? And when we can identify that as a pattern, and then we can say to the subconscious mind that this pattern is not useful, it's not helpful. It will have been created in the subconscious desire for some kind of protection or survival. But currently it's not helpful, it's not useful. And on that basis, then we have the unconscious mind to release and let it go. So, before we do so, because I know it's just after lunch and I want to dispel a myth. Some people say that directly after lunch when you've got a full belly that you get tired. That's bullshit. that's just a limiting belief, that's all that is. So, there. Okay, that's better for me as well. Yeah. Woo! So I would like you all, just for a moment, to just stand up on your feet, please. Thank you. Up on your feet, please. Wonderful. And then just sit down again. So, we've got a compliant lot. That's all I was checking. No, in fact, I do want you to stand up again. Just bear with me for a moment. Because, again, just after lunch, it's nice to just get up, get onto our feet. And we're going to do a small demonstration, one that you've all done, I'm sure, many, many times. We're going to do magnetic hands. So I want you to put your hands out like that in front of you. Bring the elbows in. Stare at the space between your hands. Imagine there's a magnet in both of those palms. Those magnets are opposite attracting, and they begin to guide those two hands together. Feel the magnetic power, pulling those hands closer and closer. That's right. Some of you might be resisting, but the cool thing is resistance actually makes those magnets even stronger. That's right. Feel the hands getting closer and closer until they touch. That's right. All the way. Maybe the left hand touches the right first, or the right touches the left first. Feel those hands getting closer and closer until they touch. That's wonderful. And when those hands have touched, feel free to take a seat again. Sit down, and thank you very much. Now, There's a few reasons I want you to do that. One is that I want you to get up on your feet just after coming back. And also, if imagination has the power to just move your hands, just by the power of your imagination that it can move your hands, think about what it can do for your clients in order to let go of unwanted thoughts, behaviors, addictions, feelings. And it may also be a nice little demonstration that you can use with your next clients if you're not doing it already. You can just get them to do a simple suggestibility test. Lots of you were doing them out in the streets of Copenhagen last night. I hope that when you did something with someone out there that you actually left them with a little, either a hypnotic gift or something to think about, that if their hands can move by the power of their imagination, what else can shift with the power of their imagination? So, who is an addict? I want you to close your eyes for a moment. Thanks, Claudia. That's not what I meant. But I know you are. Close your eyes for a moment and picture an addict. Just get a sense of who you see. What age, what gender, where they are, what kind of background that they're in. Just get a sense of what an addict is to you. What kind of pops into your head. That's right. And then I just want you to open your eyes again. Because most times when I do this, what people picture as an addict is not the person that will be coming to you as a private practicing hypnotherapist. So people picture someone that's down and out, someone that's on the street, someone that's carrying a brown paper bag. People picture someone that's, got a needle in their arm. People picture... there tends to be a disconnect between the initial thought somebody has of who an addict is with actually the reality. And sure, there are people working for state departments that are working with a certain cohort of addicts. You, or most of you anyways, as private practicing hypnotherapists, the addict that you're going to see, they're highly functioning. They're moms and dads. They're pillars of their community. They're working in banks. They're working in courtrooms. They're working in big businesses and boardrooms. And they're going home or they're going into the bathroom at lunchtime and they're snorting a line of cocaine off the toilet. Or they're going home every evening and they're stopping and getting a bottle of wine on the way home. And so lots of therapists kind of avoid working with addiction because one of the thoughts, the initial thoughts or automatic thoughts that come into their head is, I don't want that kind of people coming into me. I don't want to work with that kind of people. And I just wanted to dispel that myth right off the start. And to tell you that, why is it a good idea for you as a hypnotherapist to work with addiction if you're not already doing it? Well, one of the things is we know in the Western world it's a growing market, right? I mean, think about just business, your business for a moment. Is it a good idea to get into an expanding market or a declining market? It's an expanding market, right? So you're always going to have a lot of work. You're always going to have a lot of people that need you. Think about the person that you're helping as well. You're not just helping that person, but you're helping their family. You're helping their partner, you're helping their children, their brothers and sisters, their parents. Often addiction runs in generational cycles. So far beyond the person that you're working with, you're having a really, really positive impact far beyond that. You are helping to change people's lives that you will never even meet. And most people get into hypnotherapy for altruistic reasons, like you want to get out there and help people. So there's a group of people out there that really, really need your help. Now, I know in my country, in Ireland, and I think it's a lot around the Western world anyways, in the past 10 years, cocaine has just gotten into everywhere. If I go to a pub in Dublin or anywhere in Ireland, and it's not that I get to go that much anymore having small children, but 10 years ago, it was very different. Now, what's really surprised me is outside of the men's bathrooms, there's a queue of 10 guys waiting to use a cubicle. That was never the case years ago. And they're waiting to go in to get a little bit of space to put some powder up their nose. So it's very much rife. And it's very much addictive, and it's very much destroying young people's lives and destroying families. And so when I asked a question like why people, can I just get a show of hands, how many people are working with addiction? Yeah, so probably about half, maybe even less than half. And some of the reasons that people tell me are that they shy away from it because they don't necessarily want that type of person coming into them, whatever that type of person is. But now you see that there's not that type of person. There's, they tend to be highly functioning. Also, there can be a fear of failure because it's kind of a black or a white. It's a did they quit or did they not? And there can be a degree around there that with hypnotherapists of fear of failure. There can also be lots of people that I've trained. They've told me, "Oh, I never worked with addiction because my previous trainer told me not to," and I don't know why that would happen. But people say don't work with addiction. If you've got the framework, if you've got the training, if you've got the skills, then you get out there and help people. A question I often ask of hypnotherapists is, especially if you're not like doing it to your potential, if you're not working with, let's say for addiction, right? Imagine for a moment you were the last hypnotherapist left on earth. You were the one that had those skills. Whatever skills you have now and understandings you have now, imagine you're the last one left on earth. Does that die with you? Is it all gone then? Or do you get out there and work and work and work and see that as your mission? Do you get out there and show people, teach people, explain to people? And those thoughts that will be going through your mind about, well, I would get out there and I would use it and I would show people, then that's who you are. You have those skills. And get out there and do that. There are so many people out there that need your help. Consider the alternatives that they have. They can go to a residential rehab facility that they might have to go in for 6 weeks, 12 weeks, longer. Now, these are people that are running businesses, that have families, that have lives, that can't really take that time out. Another alternative they might have would be traditional addiction counselling, which a lot of it is slow and laborious and gives them a great understanding of why they have the addiction, but doesn't necessarily free them from it because that's working at a conscious level of the mind. And we have the amazing benefit of being able to work at the subconscious level of the mind where these problems occur. So if that's where the problems occur, then that's where we should be resolving them. If you were able to confidently say to someone, I can help you overcome your addiction in 3 sessions or in 5 sessions, that sounds very, very appealing to them. And if there's somebody that's, we'll say a cocaine addict and they're like, they can be a solicitor, they can be a banker, and they're spending like 500 euros a week on their habit, 1,000 euros a week on their habit, maybe more. They have got no problem at all spending 1,000 or 2,000 euros with you to help you, for you to help them overcome that habit. I mean, think about the value exchange. Some people think of the money, I can't ask someone for that kind of money. Don't think about it like that. Think about the value exchange, the value that they're getting from you working with them. Again, if we bring it back to why you should work in addiction, if we bring it back to you like running a business, so you all go and you train how to be a therapist, and hopefully you get good training and hopefully you build your confidence. But if you're not able to run a business in it, then you're one less hypnotherapist in the world. If you're not able to run a business in it, you're not going to be helping people. So addiction is very good for your business to be working in. And if you have the right skills and framework and understandings and trainings, then you start helping people. They start overcoming their problems. They start telling others. You become that go-to therapist in your area. And you can build a very powerful business there, and you can help a lot of people and help their families. So, So I asked you then to put up your hands, who here works with addiction. And back to maybe my first question that Claudia put her hands up for. Who here is an addict? Anyone here an addict? Yeah, a few hands going up.
Various addictions.
Yes, exactly, various addictions. So maybe you might be scrolling through your phone to your detriment. So it can be a continuous behavior that's generally compulsive rather than choice, and generally not necessarily good for you. That can have negative impacts. Yeah. Scrolling, checking social media, work, alcohol, maybe a bottle of wine every night, smoking, learning, conferences. What about significance? If I'm driven towards that, we're all kind of driven by 6 human needs. We're driven by like the need for security. It's not necessarily Maslow, but it's close to it, the need for security. Then we're driven by a need for variety. So we want to have new things, exciting things happen in our lives. Then we're driven by a need for love or connection. So we might want love, but we could settle for connection. So they're the first 3. Then number 4 would be significance. Everyone wants to feel significant, right? The last 2 human needs are kind of more outward. There would be growth and contribution. And typically our behaviors, what we do, what we're interested in, are driven by these different needs. And some of us are driven by some needs more than others. Now, workaholics? Yeah, absolutely. So there'll be something that'll be driving that. And one of the authors or speakers on addiction that I quite like is Dr. Gabor Mate. A lot of you've, I see the heads nodding there that you know him. And he has worked in, I think, Vancouver for many years with addiction. He noticed a lot with the indigenous people, and the indigenous people had a history of being removed from their families and brought into religious institutions as children, so they could be, I don't know what the term was, but so that could kind of be brought into our understanding of things. And when I say our, what I mean is the white Europeans that kind of conquered Canada. And so he worked with a lot of those that had their identity stolen from them. Therefore, when their identity was stolen from them, who they were wasn't enough. So self-esteem issues. He talked about children being, for speaking their own native tongue, having like a pin put through their tongue. These kind of like really, really horrible, traumatic things that then led to rife addiction. And he talks about addiction, and here's one of the reframes, one of the first reframes I want to talk to you about, that addiction is not the problem, addiction is the solution. Think about that for a moment. And it's often focused on as there's the problem. And traditional therapies will look at it and say addiction is the problem. What Dr. Gabor Mate says, and I would certainly agree with my experience, addiction is the solution. It's the solution that the subconscious mind chose for a different problem. That different problem might have been, it can be anything, a lot of it comes back down to different types of traumas. It doesn't have to be big T trauma. It can be little t trauma. There can be things that happen to us in our lives or things that didn't happen. And I'll give you a few examples later on in this presentation about clients that I've worked with that had different traumas that led them down certain routes. So if addiction is the solution, it's the solution the subconscious mind chose. So in all of its wisdom, it thought, I don't like this feeling. I don't like what's going on here. I want to escape from it. And whatever the substance was or the behavior was, that's what the subconscious mind chose. It said, well, I can escape using that. Now, food, for example, and maybe a lot of you as hypnotherapists work with people around food issues. Maybe people who want to lose weight and want you to help kind of create that space for them in their mindset to do that. And Anyone here have small children, or ever had small children, or ever was a small child? I've got small children, and I know that if they're upset about something, if I was to take out a cookie and give them a cookie, the tears are going to dry up quite quickly. Now, it's not going to resolve things, but it changes how they feel, right? So if you've got someone that has emotional eating difficulties, a client that has emotional eating difficulties, I would say emotional eating is eating when they're not hungry. That's kind of the broad definition I put it on it. So when I speak to my clients, sometimes I say emotional-based eating. And the reason I do that is because some clients go, oh, no, I don't emotionally eat. But then they'll go on to tell you that if in the evening at 9 o'clock when they're bored watching TV, they go out to the kitchen and start looking for something to eat. But they kind of think emotional-based eating means or emotional eating means you have to be crying before you eat, which isn't true. So we have emotions all the time, right? All the time. Whether you're aware of them or not, they're still there. And your subconscious mind is aware of them. And if that subconscious mind thinks, I don't really like these feelings, it's going to do something to distract you from it. And if it has learned that it can take this nice sugary-based product, this cookie or this piece of chocolate, and use that to distract, then it will do that. And that pattern can be learned when you're a child. Unconsciously, you're learning it. That I can have this, and I have this cookie, and it's going to change how I feel or distract me from my feelings. It may have even been useful as a child to learn it. So all of these unwanted patterns, I am talking more specifically around addiction here, but I do want you to know that this applies to any unwanted thoughts, feelings, or behaviors. Because when we look at it as a pattern, so emotional-based eating or emotional eating, the subconscious mind learned that it can change how you feel by having this thing and putting it into the mouth and giving that kind of flavor sensation. And it distracts. And it may have been useful when they learned it as a child. And then now as an adult, when it's negatively impacting the person's health, when it's negatively impacting their confidence, how they feel about themselves, then it's no longer useful. And it's irrelevant, and it's historical, and it's from the past. And when we say this to the subconscious mind, it begins to get the message that, okay, maybe I could let it go. And if we tell them it's safe to let it go, and if we can have the unconscious mind find an alternative way of soothing the person, that would be much better, right? And then, and I'm going to show you using the ICAAN method, I'm going to show you how we can isolate a pattern and have the unconscious mind remove it, and remove it from the roots. So look at then emotional eating. So the person doesn't need to know exactly where the roots are. Their subconscious mind knows it. It knows it because it runs that pattern over and over. So we can have the subconscious mind release that pattern. And you'll see why I'm doing that with my hand later. We can have it reduce and let go and release that pattern and release it from the roots. So that if you look out onto your front garden and there's a few weeds there, you can go out this time of year, maybe we're coming into springtime, maybe you go out the lawnmower and you cut over the heads of the weeds. They might be gone for a while. But if the roots are still there, that weed is going to come back up. Sometimes people go on a diet to lose weight and they put some effort into it and they're going well for a number of weeks. And they're thinking, this is great, I'm doing fantastic. Then they have a bad day and it knocks them off and the old patterns come back up again. It's a little bit like cutting the heads off the weeds. They're gone for a while, but when the roots are there, they still come back up. So the method I'm going to show you and demonstrate for you is about helping to let those things go at the roots and all of the different links and associations. So again, if it was food, An association might be evening time. It might be when I'm watching my favorite Netflix show. It might be sitting on the couch. It might be boredom. It might be stress. It might be loneliness. It might be disconnection. It might be work stress. It could be any of these things. And we have the unconscious mind break all of those links and associations, remove that pattern from the roots so that it doesn't reoccur. And we're going to use a cataleptic arm, and we're going to use hypnotic phenomena to accompany. So something happening physically, like you did magnetic hands earlier, something happening physically at the same time that something is happening at a deeper level unconsciously, that we're freeing them from those patterns. Now, intention versus strategy. So think about any unwanted thought, feeling, or behavior. In this case, we might think about an addiction. It could be cocaine, alcohol, food, gambling, anything else. The intention behind it is a positive intent. And this is also an important reframe for your clients. So when you're able to say to a client that comes into you, they've got a lot of guilt, they've got a lot of shame, they've probably hurt people with their addictions, they probably feel helpless. When you're able to say to them, look them in the eye and say, the intent behind that, it's positive intent. You just feel like you can feel the energy of a weight being lifted off their shoulders. So the intention behind it, and I would say, well, yeah, of course, that's what you chose. That was the solution. There was a positive intention behind taking cocaine. That was to change how you feel. The strategy was all wrong. The strategy was terrible. But the intention behind it, so the intention was change how you feel. The strategy to change how you feel by taking cocaine that could ruin your life, that's all wrong. And it's important for your client to understand that, when you can say that to them, that the intention was fine, it's just the strategy was wrong. You can feel a weight, you can literally see the weight being lifted off their shoulders. And also, these kind of things, when you're talking to them about this in the pre-talk, it really helps with things like rapport. It helps with they're kind of going, this person understands me. They understand the issue. Therefore, rapport is greater. Therefore, when you actually go into more suggestive work in hypnotherapy, it has a much greater impact. The intention behind going out to the kitchen, to the fridge to get something to eat at 9 p.m., it's a positive intent. See, they might not even be aware of the feelings that are inside of them. In most cases, people are not. They're not aware of the feelings that are driving them. But those feelings are still there. I mean, I could say to all of you right now to draw your conscious attention down to the big toe on your left foot. And you draw your attention down there and you give it a little wiggle and you notice it down there. Before that, your conscious attention wasn't there, but your unconscious mind knew how it was. And it's monitoring these things all the time. And so we're driven so much by the unconscious and the unconscious kind of patterns and behaviors and drivers. So intent versus strategy. The intention was a positive intent. Just the strategy was poor. That takes a lot of weight off the shoulders of your client. Things like stigma, shame, they begin to disappear. And it clears the way for real change and real transformation. Now, another reframe for you that's really, really powerful and positive for working with your clients. So who here works with smokers? Anyone work with someone that help people quit smoking? Yeah. So when someone comes into you to quit smoking, what are they coming in for? Are they coming in to quit smoking? They kind of are. That's the result that they want. But what's the real choice that they're making? Get healthy, yeah. That's the real choice. They're choosing their future. That's what they're choosing. And if you've ever noticed when someone comes in, I've worked with thousands of smokers, helped thousands of smokers to quit over the years. They can come in, they're a little bit nervous. They're a little bit some of them, they can be a little bit worried, a little bit nervous about what's going to happen. That they're going to kind of lose something. They're going to lose a friend. They're going to lose a coping strategy. we need to reframe it. Subconscious mind doesn't like losing things, does it? If it thinks it's losing something, it wants to automatically go and find it. So we need to reframe that so they're not losing something. They're gaining something. They're gaining a future, a quality of life. So think about this. If cigarettes was not harmful to that person, they would not be there sitting in front of you. The reason that they're quitting is not because they don't want to smoke. Most smokers, they like it. They like to go out there and they go, and they kind of drift into a little space and they enjoy that. They're not coming to you because they necessarily want to quit. Not all of them, some of them, but not that. They're coming because they can see the consequence of being a smoker in their future. And that's what frightens them. So when you can help them understand the real choice, the real decision that they're making. So in your pre-talk, I would suggest that that's what you do. And you say, okay, so, the real reason you're here is like you want to choose your future. You want to have a healthy future, right? When you ask them, why do you want to quit? They might go, I've got a bit of a cough and a wheeze and I've got a few small children. Well, what are they really saying when they say that? And I would ask them to tell me, well, what are you really saying? Get specific, because what that means is, I've got small children, okay, maybe you don't want them seeing you smoke, that might be part of it, but what you're really telling me is you want to be still alive when they're getting married, when they have children of their own. What you're really telling me, if you've got that wheeze, that cough, is that you're a bit worried somewhere that this is going to be something that's going to turn into disease that will end up in your early demise. So the real choice that they're making is they're choosing their future. They're choosing a healthy future. And it's the very same thing when someone comes to you and they might come in and say, I need to stop eating chocolate. And that's what they present with. And we need to find out why. Why is that important? And the important is, we need to get to what's the real choice you're making. So you want to wake up with energy every morning. You want to feel good. You want to look in the mirror and think, okay, I look good. You want to feel good about that. You want to look your best, feel your best. You want to have health right out there into the future. You want to be fit and healthy when you're your parents' age and beyond. That's the real choice that you're making. When someone has cocaine addiction or gambling addiction, we've got to find what's the real choice, the real decision that you're making. And you can ask them, so let's just say you didn't make a change. How do you think your life is going to be in 1 year's time, in 5 years' time, in 10 years, in 20 years? Project them out into the future and get them to tell you. A big, big mistake when working with addiction is for you to start telling them what might go wrong in the future. They don't need that from you, and they certainly don't want it from you. And there's nothing really you can tell them that they don't already know. So sometimes I see therapists trying to convince their client that it's a good idea to quit. Don't do that. They need to be convinced when they come to you. If you're trying to convince them, you'll get resistance. If you're getting resistance, you're not getting transformation. So if you do want to highlight to your client why it's the negative impact, you ask them. You say to them, well, what do you think? What's going to happen? And get them to tell you. Some people will say, you say, why do you want to quit? They'll go, health reasons. I'll say, well, health is a 6-letter word. What does it mean to you? And get them to tell you what it means specifically. And write down those things so you can use it later in the session. I would typically say to a smoker, if I want to steer this conversation in the direction of what's potentially going to happen in the future if they continue, I will say one or two things, and then I will say, now listen, I'm not here to tell you smoking is bad for you, even though I kind of have if I need to. I might tell them, and then I'll say, I'm not here to tell you smoking is bad for you. That's not my job. You don't need that from me. And they'll go, yeah, I know. But it's just a clever little way. If you do need to with a client, if you do need to steer it in that direction, you can begin to steer it there and then say, I'm not here to tell you smoking is bad for you, because you don't want to be that person. If you're that person, like their friend, their partner, their parent, their child, if you're that person that's all the time at them, then you're not going to be an effective therapist for them that day.
Can I ask you something?
Yes, Tina.
What do you say when they say to you, I have been doing this with others and they couldn't help me? So why should you help?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So sometimes people will say, well, I've tried this before and it hasn't worked. Now, so I'll actually tell them the truth. I'll say, there's all sorts of different types of techniques and tools in hypnosis. There are all sorts of different people working in it. Lots of people do a weekend course, and maybe that's who you went to. I will say, I don't know exactly who you went to, but I can tell you about me. And generally what I do is just tell them about my credentials. I'll say I've been working in 15 years. There's tools and techniques that I will use here with you that no one has used with you before. I will, generally the thing is, so accept what they say to you and then differentiate yourself. So I would never go down the road of kind of knocking another therapist. I don't think, in our industry that we need to do that. I don't think it's a good idea. But I might say, I don't know who you went to. I don't know what skills they have. I don't know what experience they have, but I can tell you about me. That's generally the way I would do it. If you're not very experienced and you're starting out, you can say that. I don't know who you went to. I don't know what their training was, but I can tell you about the skills that I use. And just speak about it with confidence. And whatever tools and techniques that you use, when you speak about it with confidence, that's all they're looking for when they ask that question. What they're looking for is you to be confident. What you're looking for, thank you. What they're looking for is a confident answer. They wouldn't be speaking to you unless they wanted you to be their therapist. And they need you then to bring that confidence and bring that congruence in your language. And they need you to help them become your client. And I would say that if someone ends up speaking to you in an inquiry about quitting smoking, for example, I would go so far as to say that it's your responsibility, it's incumbent upon you to help that person become your client. Because think of the journey that they've taken in order to get speaking to someone like you. First of all, they had a problem for years. Then they began to accept that they had one, big part of the process. Then they might have thought, maybe I could stop. And they might have tried stopping in a number of ways. This could all take months or years. Then they come around to thinking, maybe hypnosis. And people can know, anyone that's come to me, they've known 5 years ago they could have come to me as well. So knowing about you isn't enough. Something needs to have changed or clicked in their mind in order for them to make that decision. So they've come through an awful lot of the steps of that change process by the time they're talking to you. And I think that for us, it's incumbent upon us, and it's really our responsibility to help that person become your client because they've taken all of those steps. They might not go that far again for years. So if you're not confident or skilled in helping somebody go from an inquiry into becoming a client, get confident in it, get skilled in it, get training in it, get better at it. It's part of your duty, I would say. It's part of your duty as a hypnotherapist. Now, so that was, the real decision. They don't want to, it's not that they want to quit smoking, it's that they want to look at a future. So they're not losing something now, they're gaining something. And when you can make that reframe with them, and there's 3 places that you can make that reframe with them. One of them is on the phone, because it's going to make them feel a lot better about it. They can go, yeah, okay, when can I come in? It's a very powerful reframe. So to help them decide, okay, I'm going to book an appointment. Another one is when you're in the pre-talk with them. And you say to them, okay, so really, the real choice you're here, the real decision you're here is because you want to choose your future. So you get them talking, they tell you a little about themselves, their families, what's important to them. And you say, okay, this sounds like, you're here to quit smoking, yeah, but it's not just quitting smoking. There's a much bigger decision here, isn't there? And I always like to, when I say something like that, I always like to add a tag question, isn't there? Because that elicits a response. And what do we want to do in hypnosis? What are most of our structures set up to do? Yeah, getting yeses and getting response. We want to build their response ability. We want to build their response ability. So that's why we do things like take a step over here, take a step over here when we're doing my suggestibility tests. I want to get them responding. So, on that, we're around about halfway through-ish, maybe a little bit more. Now, we're going to have space to do this. Okay, so I want everyone to stand up. Now, I do appreciate there's not a whole lot of space, so just figure it out whatever way you can, if you can step into a little bit of space, because what I want you to do is put your hand out in front of you like so, and have one finger, index finger pointing. And I want you to spin all the way around, keep your feet in the same place, and go as far as possible with that hand, and just notice how far you can go. Notice what your finger is pointing at. Yeah, notice what the finger is pointing at, and then come back around. Now, so you went as far as you can. Now, what I want you to do is close your eyes for a moment, and I want you to imagine at your hips, the upper and the lower part of your body where your legs meet the upper part of your body. Imagine there's like a turntable, and imagine that your body can just spin the whole way around. Just doing that, imagine it can spin the whole way around once, whole way around twice, whole way around 3 times. Just imagine you're spinning around, all the way around. That's right, perfect. Now open your eyes again, and I'm going to ask you to do the very same thing. Put your hand out in front of you, pointing forward, and then, once again, turn all the way around as far as you can go. As far as you can go. That's right. And then come back around, and you can take a seat again. Thank you all very much. By a show of hands, who was able to go further the second time than the first time? Yeah. Why is that? Why were we able to go further the second time around? Because you imagined it. So I did ask you to go as far as you can the first time, and you thought that you went as far as you can, right? You actually thought you went as far as you could. And you did a small little imagination exercise, and you were able to go further. So your body will do of it as you ask. You got to ask the right questions of it. And when you begin to use that imagination, your body can do so much more than you ever thought it could. And that includes things like letting go of cravings. That includes things like building health. That includes things like healing, overcoming trauma, overcoming dis-ease. It can do so much for you. Again, that's a nice little exercise for a client who thinks that they've hit their limit, who's got limiting beliefs. It's a nice exercise for them, because rather than telling them something, we can tell people something, but if we can demonstrate something to them, it's so much more powerful. Because if I told you that exercise, that you get them to stand up and turn around and all that, most of you would have forgotten it within a week. But now that you've done it, you'll never forget it. It's going to be in there. And once you demonstrate it to someone, so when you go home after this weekend and you say to friends or family, oh, put your hand out there and do this, and you demonstrate it to them, then it's locked in for good. And by doing that, you have it as an extra demonstration, which is very powerful for working with your clients. You have it as a nice demonstration to show them that they can go far beyond what they thought was possible. They were only limited by their own imagination. So you primed the imagination to go further, and lo and behold, it went further. So, I've made my name mostly working in what I would call solution-focused hypnotherapy. I have a few clinics in Dublin, and I've worked with tens of thousands of clients over the years and get great results with them most of the time. I've learned skills, I've honed skills, I've evolved different methods and tools. And one of them I'm going to show you shortly the ICAAN method, and it's a very powerful solution-focused method. Sometimes, though, by itself, it's not enough. And we also need to bring in a trauma-informed approach. So the way I like to describe it is, you know when you go to the fairground and you've got those whack-a-mole things, you got a little hammer here and the mole pops up, you whack his head down and then it pops up over there and you whack it down. So imagine a client comes to you with an issue, they smoke, they take cocaine, they drink too much, whatever that might be, and solution-focused approach can really help to resolve that behavior. And it's gone, and they don't want to do it anymore. But what can happen is, weeks later or months later, or sometimes even years later, the mole pops up again in different guise. Maybe in relapse, or maybe a different behavior. They find now that they're gambling all the time, when it used to be cocaine. Or they find that they're drinking a whole lot more than they used to. Or they've stopped smoking and they're eating a whole lot more. So it can pop up in other areas. So why is that? So we take a powerful solution-focused approach to get rid of it, to whack down that mole. The behavior, the addiction is gone. But what's happening down here, under the surface? If we're not cognizant of what happens beneath the surface, that's where the soil can push back up those weeds, right? So we might chop the head off the weeds, but if we don't clean out the soil, it can pop back up. So what are the underlying causes and reasons that would lead somebody to addiction? And that's where the trauma-informed approach is very powerful, to add trauma-informed to solution-focused. So then you've got a client coming to you that has an issue and they'll come and say, I'm taking cocaine, I need to stop. They're coming to you with an issue, and rather than just helping them get rid of that issue, what you're actually doing is helping to create real transformation in their lives so it doesn't pop up again in some other area. They're getting far more from you than they thought they were coming into you for. That's good, by the way, for you, for your business as well, because when they're going back out there talking to people, they're going to say what they learned, and they're going to live that life of transformation, which is really, really very powerful. So I had a lady that came to me to quit smoking last year. And so she came. I do quit smoking in one session generally, and I just do it at that. So she came. She was probably in her mid-50s. She smoked about 40 years. And I helped her to quit smoking in that session, and she was feeling great about it, and she threw her cigarettes into the bin before she left. And about, 3 or 4 months later, I got a call from her, and she said, Cormac, I'm still off the cigarettes. I don't want one. I don't care about them anymore. But what I've noticed is I'm eating a lot more. And I'm going towards kind of biscuits and chocolate a whole lot more than I want to. And I said to her, okay, let's come back in and we'll have a talk about it and we'll see what we can do. And she came back in and we had a talk about it. And during the session in kind of exploration, she recalled a memory from when she was 6 years of age. And when she was 6 years of age, she fell out of a tree and she hurt herself. No, she didn't break anything. There was no lasting physical damage. But what she told me was she had an older brother who had a severe form of autism. So he had special needs. He had kind of violent tendencies. He had pushed her into an open fire before. He'd hit her a lot. So the parents had to spend an awful lot of their attention on him. And as a 6-year-old, she was feeling the effects of that. So when she fell out of the tree, rather than crying for mommy or daddy to come and help her, I've got a 6-year-old daughter, by the way, so I know what would happen if she falls out of a tree. And she wants to pick her up and make her feel better and give her comfort and help her through it. But this lady, anyway, she fell out of the tree and she remembered in that moment making a decision. She could call for mom, but she realized it would be futile, that mom wasn't going to have the time for her. So instead, she went into the biscuit tin or the cookie jar. And that's where she got her comfort. And to her, the trauma, the little t trauma, wasn't falling out of the tree. It was having to deal with that. It was that she had no one to go to. She had no one to come and comfort her. So she went to the cookie jar. And from that moment on, she started having issues with her weight. And she was a woman that spent decades on one diet, on another diet, on the next diet, on the next diet, always looking for a new method, a new way. And this will happen with our clients. People as human beings, we don't tend to take responsibility for our role in it. So we see this new diet, this new method, and we're like, oh, that's the one for me. And that's what she was doing for years and years. And she'd do it for a while, and then she'd kind of fall off it. And so what we realized, so I used solution-focused methods to help her to quit smoking. And what we realized was that it was what was required then was a trauma-informed approach to help her fully transform. So we needed to go back and resolve those issues. And I have different tools and techniques that I'm not going to be going into today, but we have some very powerful ways of actually going and resolving that. So I was able to resolve that with her so that the smoking stayed gone and the weight issues disappeared. So at that moment of a 6-year-old, she made a decision that she was going to use food as a comforter. And from that moment on, she was pretty much stuck in that. She didn't know it, of course. It was an unconscious choice. But because it was an unconscious choice, it got hidden, it got locked in there. But once it's removed, once the subconscious mind understands that that's not useful, that's not helpful, then it's quite happy to let it go. So that actually is a nice segue, lead me on to the demonstration of the ICAAN method. I'm just going to drag this over for a moment. So the I is for induction. C is corridor of transformation. It was funny when I was in. Yes, I can. Yeah, when I was in the US last year at a few different conferences, demonstrating this method. People in the US didn't use the word corridor. They were like, "Oh, you mean a hallway?" So I decided I wasn't going to change it from ICAAN to ICAAN. So we're keeping it at ICAAN. So catalepsy, amnesia, new chapter. So I will be demonstrating this with Katerina in a few moments, and I will refer back to the steps as we're doing it. So we'll leave that up there. Yeah, if people want to take photographs of it. So there's.
Can I make it through?
Push it back. Yeah.
No, she was the video.
Yeah. Oh, turn it this way for the. Yes. There we go. Thank you, Tina. So I'm going to demonstrate a method here that's called the ICAAN method. I use it in my clinic for pretty much every client that comes to me. It doesn't matter what they come in for. It's very powerful for addiction. It's very powerful for anxieties. Any unwanted thought, feeling, or behavior. We look at what's the underlying pattern, what's the underlying driver that's behind it. And we use this method as one of the tools that I use in my clinic to help release it. So there's an induction. We bring them down a deepener to a corridor of transformation. We're going to get the arm involved, arm catalepsy. We're going to use amnesia. Why do people always forget to use amnesia in their sessions? And people say to me all the time when I do this, they go, I never even think to use amnesia. And it's a very powerful tool. And I'll show you how we set it up, how we prime amnesia in the mind. And it's really quite simple. It's just telling them things that they already forget. Like, especially when we come to somewhere like this, it's really handy that Tina has got us all name tags. But how many times have you been somewhere and you meet people new and they tell you their name and like straight away it's gone out of your head? So we're quite good at forgetting. And that's how we prime the mind to forget, by telling it that it does it all the time. And then a new chapter. So what's the new chapter in your life going to be like? Now, I spoke... Oops. I spoke with Katerina just at lunchtime. I haven't met her before, but we were having lunch and Katerina has kindly volunteered to work with me today. So give Katerina a hand, please. Thank you, Katerina. Thank you. And we'll give you the seat here. Now, I think I have
And
a
Katarina
pen.
is from Sweden, so we have one from Sweden as well.
Katerina is from Sweden. So, thank you, Katerina.
Thank you.
So, because we are in a presentation here, we're kind of in a training room. My principle is I don't do therapy in a training room. I do therapy in a therapy room. I do training in a training room. So the purpose of this here is going to be to demonstrate the steps of the process with you. Katerina will get something very useful and powerful out of it, but the purpose is demonstration so that you can watch this, you can get an understanding of it yourself, and you can use it this week. And I would suggest to you, when you go back into your clinic, use this technique. Get whatever understanding you have of it and use it. People are recording there for themselves. That's perfectly fine as well. Have it, use it, put your own spin on it. So we spoke, Katerina, briefly at lunchtime.
Yes.
And I asked you, was there any kind of unwanted thought, feelings or behaviours that you would like to have less of or to get rid of? And you said to me about there being anxiety in your body.
Yes, it's hurting a lot and I'm sweating a lot when I got very stressed.
Okay. So when you feel stressed, you can notice that anxiety in your body.
Yes.
Now, you also said that you have a tendency to be people pleasing.
Yes, I'm a good girl. I please
A good
people.
girl, yes. And so that
I
you...
am the best to get solution to other people.
Yes, so you have solutions for everyone else. You're a good wife, you're loyal, you're a good mom, you're a good sister, you're a good person. And all the way back from when you were a child, you were a good girl. Now, you used to do well in school, but sometimes you'd do great and mom would think, no, that's not good enough.
Yes.
And so, again, we're not going to go deep in because this is demonstration purpose, but the little bit of information that we talked about, there can be things like, if we're not, like, you know, I said to you, I've got small children. They're designed to seek my approval. When I get home from work in the evening, my 3 children come running to the door. They've been doing it for years. And they come and they show me the pictures they've drawn, they tell me the poems that they've learned. And what they want is approval. And they want me to give them that. They're hardwired for it. Now, if I decided that I wasn't going to give that approval, and that if I made a decision, I'm not going to give that, they can't feel anything other than there's something wrong with them. That's what they feel. So then they begin to alter who they are, and they change things unconsciously. And sometimes people become a people pleaser because we want that approval. So What we're going to do here with Katerina, I'm going to bring you into hypnosis nice and quickly. We're not going to do a long induction again for the purposes of being here, but you can go in. Do you find it easy to go into hypnosis?
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And so we're going to do a quick induction, and we're going to look at, there's a pattern that has been running in Katerina's life of creating anxiety in the body when she feels stressed. That can have roots going all the way back to childhood. That can have roots in not getting the approval that I wanted. Now, I'm not going to go do an in-depth pre-talk or investigation again, because we're here to demonstrate the process. But I want to give you a sense of there can be roots to it. So the feelings that you get, the discomfort, the heat, the sweating, that happens, it's linked and associated to stress, and there are roots that can go all the way back to childhood. So, Katerina, would you like to go into hypnosis?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Somebody, are they fine there?
Yes.
Let me put them on the table for you, because I might be walking around you, and I don't want you having to think about them. Can I borrow that arm there, please? Yes, thank you. I want you to look up here, look into the hand. Just find a spot that you can focus on. Have you got that? Keep your eyes locked on that. Now, the eyes will want to close, but I don't want you to let them close just yet. Only when the hand touches the face do the eyes close. That's right. Only when the hand touches the face, so allowing the hand to move all the way down to the face. When it touches the face, the eyes can close. You're in a staring trance now, about to go into a deeper trance. That's right. That's right. And I can take that hand back, eyes closed, just drifting deeper, deeper, deeper and deeper down, all the way down. As you begin to notice a really powerful comfort and relaxation flowing all the way through the body. So that it doesn't even matter how the body is on the chair, you feel comfort and relaxation. Notice that now, Katerina. Deep comfort and deep relaxation. If you need to adjust at any point, to adjust your body or position, to feel more comfortable, go ahead and do that. That's perfect. Now, Katerina, throughout this demonstration, I'll be talking directly to your unconscious. Any other sounds around that you notice are all just an invitation for you to go deeper and deeper. At times, Katerina, I will speak to the class here, to the group also. And as I'm doing that, you can just have the pleasure of drifting away deep inside, nice and comfortably. So I would probably use a few eye locks to deepen this. But right now, Katerina seems to be in quite a nice place. So, Katerina, we can really deepen this experience as you notice that relaxation flowing all the way through the body, right from the top of the head to the tips of the toes. Waves of comfort and relaxation. I'd like you to imagine that you're standing at the top of a staircase and you're looking down. This is the staircase of relaxation, Katerina. And the clue is in the name. I'll count from 10 back to 0. With each number that I count, I want you to imagine that you're taking steps down that stairs. With each step that you take, you're going 10 to 100 times deeper. Just letting go. You don't have to try to relax or try not to try. You don't even have to try to listen to my voice now, Katerina, because your unconscious already is hearing these words and it's processing them all for you at a much deeper level inside. So you can continue to drift away now as I count from 10, 9, 8. That's right, deeper and deeper, Katerina. 7, 6, 5. All the way down now, deeper. You're free, deeper. 2. Live with amazing comfort and calmness throughout your whole body and mind. Because then, Katerina, you have won, and you have won. 0 stress, all the way down deeper, all the way down, deeper and deeper. Like I said, Katerina, at times I'll speak directly to the group here, and at those times you continue to drift away deeper. You can listen if you like, or you can drift away further and deeper. So I like to do a countdown. You might have noticed after I got to 5, I didn't say 4, 3, 2, 1. I told her, I said, you're free to live life comfortably, easily and effortlessly. And then you have won. So she's won. Then zero stress. So you can play with numbers. If you're not doing it already, you can play with numbers. It's not necessarily, especially so consciously, you probably heard me saying 4, 3, 2, 1. But unconsciously, she heard that she was free to live life how she wishes. Now at the bottom of that stairs, Katerina, I want you to imagine that at the bottom of that staircase, you've entered into a corridor. This is the corridor of transformation, the corridor of transformation. And this corridor will lead you to a new chapter in your life. A new chapter in your life, Katerina, where you're living calm, stress-free, that's right. You can see the smiles, the response, there you go, wonderful. So this new chapter for you, Katerina, we're not there yet, but we'll get there soon. New chapter where your body feels comfortable. Even if there are stresses there in life, you feel comfortable, you feel cool, you feel calm. You feel that freedom to be who you are, to live your life, Katerina. Now, I want you to imagine moving along the corridor. And what you can see are big screen TVs all along the corridor. They could be on either side, they could be down the middle, they could be hanging from the roof. Big screens, and these screens are showing you little movies of you in this new chapter in your life. So begin to notice how you are. See yourself over the coming days with this new lease of life. With this sense of maybe putting yourself first. This sense of living carefree, happy. Really begin to notice yourself in this new chapter in your life. You know, pleasing Katerina. Living how you wish to live. You know? Being the good girl when you want to be the good girl and not being the good girl when you don't want to be the good girl. Being yourself. Being true to yourself. Notice what it is about you in this new chapter. On those screens up there. It could be a look in your eyes. It could be a gesture. A look in your face. It could be something that you're doing or not doing or saying or not saying. Notice specifically what it is that lets you know you're living this new life, this new chapter in your life with that sense of freedom. And we talked about freedom at lunchtime. Feel that sense. Really get a sense of that now. Now, I don't know where in your body you can feel that freedom now, Katerina. Nor do I have any idea how you might recognize that freedom in your body right now. But you do. As you continue along this corridor of transformation, you are forming trance, which means you are transforming even now. Because that's what happens in the corridor of transformation. So notice another screen there that shows you yourself probably over the coming days, weeks, months, living in this new chapter in your life. Just get a real sense of that. So if you would like to help someone experience a feeling, so in this case freedom, we can give it an embedded command. So I said to Katerina, I don't know how you might or where you might recognize that feeling of freedom in your body. Downward tone, an embedded command to tell her, recognize a feeling of freedom in your body. And then I said, I don't even know where in your body you might notice it building right now. But you do. So it's a hidden way, an indirect way of saying to them, you feel freedom. Because when I say, I don't know where in your body you can feel it, what does her mind do? It goes searching. And it finds it. Looks like you're enjoying this, Katerina. Wonderful. You see, the thing about the corridor of transformation means you're forming trance, which means you're transforming even now. And there is an important job I would like your unconscious now to do for you. I would like your unconscious now to look at that pattern from the past. So we're dissociating it. Look at that pattern from the past of creating discomfort, heat, and dis-ease in your body when you were feeling under stress. It's not helpful. It's not useful. It may have been learned a long time ago. We talked about possible routes to it. Things like seeking approval when you're smaller, like we all do. Maybe finding it more difficult to get it at times. So there's possible routes to it. There's associations like feeling a bit stressed or different things going on that created those feelings in your body. So I'd like your unconscious now to go inside and to remove that pattern from the roots. I'd like it to break all links and associations of that pattern and let it go completely. Now, there's nothing that you need to do as this is happening, Katerina. I'm going to borrow this arm here. And I'm just going to leave it right there. So I'd like your unconscious now and your unconscious only to lower that arm for you, only at the rate and speed that it fully deletes, removes, and lets go of that unwanted pattern. It's safe to let it go. It's time to let it go. It's from the past. It's historical. It's irrelevant. In fact, unconscious mind, it's destructive in Katerina's life rather than constructive. It's time to let it go. Now, what's going to happen is that arm out there is going to lower itself all by itself, Katerina. It's like it becomes a part from you, not a part of you. It takes on a life of its own out there. And it will lower itself all in its own time. At the same time, your unconscious now is removing that unwanted pattern and letting it go. You are breaking all links and associations now to that pattern on a deeper level. That's the deep level of your unconscious learning now, Katerina. And you know this. Somewhere inside, you know this. Somewhere inside is very, very powerful because it starts that search again. There's nothing that you need to do here consciously. We want to take the pressure off. It's like, you know, when you pull the plug on the bath, the way the water drains out all by itself. And there's nothing the bath needs to do. That's right. And there's nothing you need to do right now either, because you're unconscious now is making these changes for you at that deeper level inside. It's breaking all the links and associations to that pattern. It's removing it right at the roots. And because you're doing such a wonderful job, Katerina, I'd like your unconscious now to go a step further and to throw a whole blanket of amnesia over everything to do with that old pattern. Which means you forget all about it. You forget when to do it, where to do it, how to do it. Your unconscious remembers to forget now, and it's forgetting to remember and simply lets it go. And simply lets it go. That's right. And you know how easy it is to forget something. You know the way you could forget a name someone just told you, or a number you once knew, or details about things that were there. Or perhaps you've been in your house and you go to your bedroom to get something and you know exactly what you're going there for. But it's like as soon as you go through that door, it's gone, vanished, disappeared, clean out of your mind. And you're unconscious now, Katerina. Can forget all about that old pattern effortlessly and easily for you. Just let it go. That's right. That smile does begin to build, Katerina. That's right. There you go. That's right. Now, from this moment forward, Katerina, every time you see your own reflection, you're reminded of this moment. That's right. You're reminded your unconscious let go of that old pattern that was holding you back. Every time you see your own reflection. I mean, I'm talking about, it could be a partial reflection in a puddle on the ground, or a car window or a shop window, or it could be looking directly in the mirror. You're reminded of this moment, this change, this transformation inside. You're reminded to live your own life with that freedom that you wish to live with that smile, with that joy inside. So it's time now to move out into this new chapter in your life. And I talked about coming to the end of the corridor, and I want you to imagine now that you've come right to the end of the corridor. Maybe you can see double doors and they're opening up for you and the light is coming in. Now, before you go through those doors, I want you to notice written above the doors is a word, and that word is freedom. That's right, yes. I want you to contemplate that word, Katerina. Feel its meaning, feel it inside. So if you can't see, Katerina, there's great expression here, there's smiles, you can see something really powerful is happening. Even that breath there, that was a nice breath, Katerina. And it's important for us to observe our client and to know these things and understand them and That's right, there you go. And notice the breathing and notice the smiles and notice the changes. So feel the meaning of freedom inside for you, especially in the context of the freedom you're talking about here. Feel it inside. And get a sense right now of marching out into this new chapter in your life. Your head held high. There's purpose in your stride. Arms loose by your side. Big smile on your face. Sparkle in your eyes. Feeling of lightness inside of you. And a feeling of this wonderful new chapter in your life. Where you just get to get out there and live your life in amazingly wonderful ways. To truly live your life, Katerina. In all the ways that are right for you. So I'd like you, before we finish this session, just to go in your mind out there into the coming weeks and months and begin to see some things that really please you. Perhaps things you'd not yet even considered that begin to change in your life. Notice how nice that is. That's right. Getting a real sense of the joys and pleasures and surprises along this corridor of transformation out on this new chapter in your life. Fantastic. Now, before I bring you all the way back, all parts of you, consciously and unconsciously, can remember that from this moment on, every time you see your own reflection, you're reminded of this transformation. And it really encourages right there in that moment to make the choices that are right for you and how you wish to be and how you wish to live your life. So I'm going to count to 5. And I get to 5, those eyes open. And remember, they're opening up out onto a new chapter in your life. A brand new chapter, that's right. And you can feel amazing. 1 and 2 means you're leaving that inside world behind. Now 3, nice deep breath in. Breathe in that powerful energy. 3, 4 and 5, eyes open all the way and feeling wonderful all over. Fantastic. Give Katerina a hand. Wow. Well done. Well done.
Freedom and happiness.
Freedom and happiness.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Freedom and happiness.
Thank you, Katerina.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Now, how are we for time, Tina?
15 minutes.
Lovely. Fantastic. Fantastic. So, I'll take some questions in a few shortly. I do want, right down at the very back there, put your hand up for a moment. Yeah, at the back, yeah. On the table behind you, there's 2 curved pages, orange and blue. Could you take them to me, please? Thank you very much. So, that's the ICAAN method. You see the different, you can see clearly, thank you very much. You can see clearly the different elements of it. There was an induction, there was a corridor of transformation. And I like to kind of play on words, so it's transformation. And when they're imagining something, seeing those TV screens, seeing like that's a bit of future pacing, right? Giving them something to expect. Very powerful when we can give them something to expect. They're forming trance. And then we use what's called pseudo-logic, which we can use in hypnosis. So because you're forming trance, you're transforming. It's pseudo-logic. It's not real, but it's accepted in hypnosis because that's what happens in the corridor of transformation. And you can see your client, like there's full agreement in them, especially when you're focused on them. You can see full agreement. The arm thing. At the end of every session, first thing my clients say, wow, that arm thing was amazing. So what does that tell us? It was a convincer. And it's very important in hypnosis to have convincers. Otherwise, you'll have a client opening their eyes and going, I don't think I was hypnotized. Has everyone had that experience? Yeah. Everyone has, yeah. And it's important for us to be able to reframe that for them and to let them know. By the way, here's a really good way to let them know they were. First of all, it has to be your confidence. You have to be able to look them in the eye and say, I can absolutely guarantee you're hypnotized. A few little things. One of them is, how long was that? They might say 10, 15 minutes, and you tell them it was an hour, and that's a convincer. So that's a good one. Also, say to them, there are signals, unconscious signals that you give that you wouldn't know about, that were all clearly there. So I'm really happy that was a great session. That's all they want from you. They need your reassurance. If you give them the reassurance, they're happy. And it means that the suggestions you've given them in the session are going to stick. So they need that reassurance. And if they're wondering, well, what are those signals? Well, we know there are things like stillness in the body. We know that there's movement behind the eyelids, it's processing. Maybe swallow reflex. Sometimes a little kind of change in the coloration on the skin. That's that we can detect when we're looking at them, when we're focused on our client. And when I'm with a client in my office, I'm locked on with them. The whole session I'm locked on. If I'm distracted by something else, I'm going to miss out on something that's important. And even if it's just a breath, you notice with Katerina, so there was a breath, and I said, wow, that was a nice breath. There was a smile, or there was, before the smile, you could see it was there. It was waiting to form. And as soon as I said it to her, face lit up. Building response ability. So we got response from Katerina. We're building the response ability within her, because then we know that the suggestions are going to be taken and absorbed. So, we went then from the arm catalepsy, that's a great convincer, and it will go down. Sometimes it's up there for 10 minutes with someone. Sometimes it's longer. I'm out nearly at the end of the session. The arm is still there. That's fine. I don't mind. Sometimes the arm will go down really quickly. If that happens, we say, hang on, I'm not sure that was unconscious. You may have helped it. I'm just going to put it back up there and give it another chance. You will notice I used a lot of dissociative language to that arm out there, apart from you, not a part of you, taking on a life of its own. So we dissociate the arm. What did I say to her? I'm going to borrow that arm. So we're dissociating it, so it's doing something. And as that's happening, something else is happening at a deeper level of the mind. And once you notice any kind of movement, tiny little movement, that's right, there you go, it's already started. That's encouragement for your client. They need that. So it's already started. This means you're now breaking all those links and associations. You're pulling it up at the roots. You're letting it go. And it's happening at a deeper level. And when you tell their client, and you know this is happening somewhere inside. The somewhere inside is a very powerful hypnotic phrase because it sends them searching. And what did the Bible say? Seek and you shall find. Yes. Amnesia. So, isn't it nice for them to be able to forget? So it's funny, I had a gentleman came to me last year to quit smoking. And it worked so well that his wife came in then to make some changes around food. She wanted to lose some weight. And she got talking about her husband, and she said, it's really funny, you know. After dinner now, we have dinner, and after dinner sometimes she'll see him, just finished dinner, he gets up like this and he goes, and he's walking to the back door and he's like, and he sits down again. And it was nice to know that, because that was the amnesia. So there was an old pattern that was so ingrained that all after dinner always up, out to have the cigarette. And then, so the old pattern was there, but then it forgot how to complete itself and he sat down. And even like that woman was telling me, like how nice it was, because before dinner, and when they'd get the family for dinner, which wasn't too often, and they'd get everyone sitting down, before dinner was over as soon as he was gone to have his cigarette, like everyone around the table was over. Now they get 15, 20 minutes more because he's not going to have the cigarette. He's still there. So then the kids stay at the table as well. Never underestimate the kind of leverage and power and influence that you have with these skills. The things that, like the life changes that you create, not just here with the person, but what else happens when they go home and out into their lives. It's really, really powerful. So amnesia, and then the new chapter. So we send them out into this new chapter. And I held her for a minute to notice the word freedom, because that was one that came up when we were speaking earlier. And there was lots of smiles there, and she was feeling that freedom. And she could feel it in her chest. Her hands were going there. You could feel that. So we tell them to walk out into this new chapter in their lives. If I was in a clinic, I would have asked the magic question. When you want to know how someone wants to change, how would you know? You might want to write this one down. How would you know in the coming days, weeks, and months that what you do here with me has been successful? It forces them to go and think about how they would know about it. How would you know? So, let me see. At the table back there, you'll see my banner, SFTI Hypnosis. I have got one of these. You can click, you can take a photo of the QR code, and it will invite you to a free masterclass that is on next week at 7 in the evening, Irish time, 8 in the evening here, I think. So you just register and you'll be invited to a free masterclass. That's a masterclass where we're using some of these techniques. We're actually going to talk a little bit more about using them with anxiety. And also, at the same table back there, if you like what we did here, and I'm not finished yet, but if you like what we did here in this hour and a half, we have a 4-day training on the Unlocking the Subconscious Code of Addiction. There's myself and my business partner, Dr. Jody Solberg. She's in the United States. I'm the solution-focused kind of guy. She's the trauma-informed expert. So we've brought those things together. And the training is with this code, and for this weekend only, it's a conference giveaway, right? It's reduced from $3,333, not euros, dollars, down to 1,101. So it's 2/3 off. You can just take a little photo of the code at the table back there, and you'll be able to see if that's something that you're interested in or not. And now, another tool that you can use.
4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay. Okay. Which is bigger, orange or blue? Orange. 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 Okay. Which is bigger, orange or blue? When you shift perspective, things change. So, very quickly, I will talk to you about another, if you want to help break the trance state. So, addiction itself, it's like hypnosis. They're in a trance. The person is there on the Friday evening. They're saying to themselves all week, I'm not taking cocaine this week. Or this weekend, thought gets into their head. It's like a worm. It worms its way in. And they're there and they send a text message to their dealer. And I believe in Dublin it's quicker than getting a Domino's pizza to get a bag of cocaine, unfortunately. So the really what drives people is that anticipation. It just gets in and they want the anticipation, and lining it up and all of that. The actual consumption of it then is where it fails to deliver. It's an empty promise. So one of the tools I use is to shift perspective. So here's what we do. We help them go right into that spot, into that place. You're there, it's Friday evening or it's Saturday night. You're about to have it. And whether it's cocaine or whether it's going to the kitchen to get something to eat, even though they're not hungry, you're about to have it. It's right there. You can smell it. You can see it. There's that present focused desire to have it there and then. What we can do is shift perspective, okay? Imagine, pause time, step out of that body that was consumed by having that white line of powder. Step out of that body that needed to have that bar of chocolate. Step out, look back. See the big picture. What is it you really want? Invite them to get insights, understandings, new learnings. See what it is you really want. Notice a shift, step back in, and the behavior goes in a different direction. So before, there was the thought, and it would always go here. It would always go to that direction, to this like behavior. So when we can shift perspective, and it's literally pausing time, step out of your body, insights, understandings, learnings, see what you really want. Then what we're doing is we're giving the thought a different direction, a new way to go. So I will take one or two questions. Yes.
I work with an alcoholic and
Microphone, yeah.
you know, I was just wondering how long how to put the person, I'm just saying example. No, hvis de stadig påvirket, hedder det den? Yeah, if they are on influence on alcohol or...
Oh yeah, so like if they come to you drunk, is that what you're wondering?
Or even I had this guy and he was like bringing a whole bottle of vodka the evening before and he came really early, but he couldn't commit to it. He fall asleep because he was too...
I wouldn't work with somebody that's under the influence.
Yeah.
No, they need to at least have that kind of commitment. I don't care if they've taken it a few days ago. I'm still in their system a little bit. If someone smokes a joint, it can be in their system, maybe a week or 10 days later. That's fine. Yeah. But if they're clearly under the influence, I wouldn't try working with them. I wouldn't anyways.
Because he couldn't tell. I couldn't tell whenever I was speaking to him.
Sure.
Under the hypnosis, he actually just, I had to like wake him up a few times and I because he was...
Yeah, so sometimes people will ask you that because, you know, if someone is going into a rehab centre, they have to be clean for 2 or 3 days and they find that difficult. As if they've used yesterday, I don't really mind, but they need to be able to be able to converse with me properly, and if they're under the influence, I wouldn't be able to work with them.
Yeah, and I finished him right after because there was no point of him.
Yeah, and it's good to set your boundaries then with clients. Tina. Time. Okay, well, wonderful. Thank you all very much for your attention. Oh,
The microphone's off.
Yes.